Well, hello, I'm Chris Palmore, and this is Gratitude Space Radio. This is a new gratitude and movement series, and I've got my friend Laura and hostess, coming from Las Vegas right here. How you doing, Laura?
Hi, Chris. I'm so good. Super excited to start this series with you.
Likewise, Laura and I have been friends for coming up on 5 years because I was just talking to actually the person we have today is the person who introduced us, but we've been friends for a while, and we're both very grateful people. And this is a grateful reunion of three people. And I'm so grateful to Laura for taking it, going, cool, I'll come on and we'll get somebody and we'll share some gratitude. So I want to thank you in advance for that, Laura.
Absolutely, Chris. It was like the same kind of jump of the day I met you. And Nayef was just like, hey, come to Union Square. We're doing this gratitude videos, photos. And I was like, I'm in, and jumped in. So yeah, super excited to share this time with you.
This is wonderful. So real quick here, do you want to announce our guest in? You could say a few words about him before he can speak.
Nayef is a person that I don't like to use a lot of words. So I want him to come in and share his energy and time with us because, he's one of my best friends from New York City. We got together through acro yoga. So we both share our love and passion for that practice. It's just one of the very special people that acro yoga has brought into my life. We both are people that appreciate growth, not only and strength, not only physical, but mentally and emotionally, and are always searching for, to be better people and grow. And that's what has kept us together through the years. He's my brother. He's one of my best friends. So I'm super excited to share this time with him. And I think I just want him to come in and introduce himself so that we can... he needs to go soon, so I want him to.
Okay, he's on. There he is. There we are.
Oh, so much love. So much love.
Nayef,
so cool.
welcome.
Welcome to Gratitude Space.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. It's so cool for us to all three be together again, because I do remember that day, Laura, where I took off of work. I was actually still at the hedge fund at the time. And I took off and I was like, yo, do you want to come do this? And you're like, yeah, for sure. And it was just a really fun day. We brought a lot of good smiles to people that day in New York.
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. I love that it'll be, I was saying 5 years here. And, it's probably, I think it was April 27th, 5 years ago, the three of us together. And here we are.
Wow. So much has happened in 5 years.
I know. I'm glad that this space is available for us to be together, even though we're in three totally different spaces.
Different spaces.
So, Nayef, a good way to start is I'll start out. I like to think of, obviously this moment's occurring right now, but there are several people that were involved in like allowing this moment to occur. So on my end, I've got to do a little bit of prep, and I'm just going to want to go through this real quick here. I had to think about, how did I meet Nayef, right? Like, this is, I don't know if you remember, but it took me a little bit of back channeling to get this. So I'm going to tell the story a lot faster than I told Laura yesterday. So I went because I connected with somebody named Mark on Instagram who shared gratitude. When I took my tour out west, I ended up meeting up with him and his friend Jeff. We shortly met up at some place near Laguna and shared some gratitude, got some videos. And then Jeff turned me on to his friend Jessica, who I met in LA later. And then Jessica actually introduced me to Dr. Kat Meyer. And am I remembering this right or not?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was gonna say, I thought it was through Dr. Kat. I didn't.
Yeah. So then I tell Dr. Kat about my New York trip, and she goes, she's freaking lovely. And she's like, hooks me up, tries to connect me with as many people as possible in New York. And then here we are. I get to meet Nayef, and that's how that was the people in the gratitude chain that got us to be together.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you, Dr. Kat. Shout out Dr. Kat. She's amazing. She's a healer. She's a therapist, mainly specializing in sex therapy. So follow her at Sex Love Yoga. Give a quick shout out to Kat.
Nice. Yeah, I want to jump on that. And I think Nayef, well, as I said, we met through acro yoga, but I'm like super grateful for Latsi, who threw a workshop in Brooklyn Boulders in 2015. And both Nayef and I attended the workshop. And then the rest is history. So shout out to Latsi and acro yoga.
Yes. Yeah. Acro yoga has been such a connector for me in my life and connecting me with amazing humans that I feel like get it in terms of being able to still be a professional, still be a contributing member to society and mature and responsible, as well as still also having that childlike sense of play and freedom of movement and freedom of expression. So yeah, shout out to Acro Yoga for that. Thank you.
So Nayef, to speaking of that, who do you mind sharing the gratitude and the people that got you, that led you to acro yoga? Because then, this is the connection between you and Laura. So I'm very interested in how that came about.
Yeah, what's I'll tell the story about how one yoga class changed my life and why I'm so thankful for that specific yoga class. So I had started yoga about 10, 11 years ago. And my friend Angela at the time, neither of us had ever done yoga. And it was a weekday, it was after work. And she's like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "I'm going home." And I was living in Ohio at the time. She's like, "Well, why don't you come to this yoga class?" And I said, "Sure. I got nothing else to do. Why not?" And I went. And during Shavasana, I just started bawling. And I don't know why, because I'm not a crier and it's not a manly thing. It's not a masculinity thing. It's just not an emotion that's like really easy for me to generate. But like that first Shavasana, I was in tears and I'm like, what? There's something here. I need to go again. So I went again, and then I went again, and then I went again. And a few months later, I was in teacher training, like just to learn more about yoga. Angela had actually never really gone again after that point, but
Wow.
I was instantly hooked. I got my teaching certification. I started teaching. I started really diving deep into like the philosophy of yoga, the prana, the yamas, the niyamas, the pranayama, the breath, and through that, just like one thing led to another, which led to Instagram yoga. And
Mm.
I was really early on like posting yoga pictures on Instagram, but like I wasn't doing it as an influencer. I was just doing it because I thought it was cool. That connected me with a number of people, one of which is a woman named Masumi. Masumi and I became very good friends. And she was one of the first people to do yoga challenges on Instagram. So the very first like monthly yoga challenge was actually done by Masumi and Laura Sakura, if you know those two. And at the time, they were branded as Two Fit Moms. And through that, I just instantly started connecting with more and more people on Instagram through yoga. That's when acro yoga was also getting big. And I started messaging acro yogis and being like, "Hey, we're both into the same thing. Let's be friends." And just the community grew through that. And to this day, these are some of my best friends in the entire world, are people that I've met through social media through having the same interests.
Love that. Love that. I love that you're sharing like, these connections through social media, through Instagram, because going back, like the only reason again that we know each other is because of a random connect on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the random connection on social media. And like, I'm not one of the people that like to like, bash social media. And like, yeah, for sure, it's done its harm in the world. And like, there's tons of harm that it's doing. And there are better ways that we can't be doing. And that's another conversation.
Right.
But especially when social media was just emerging, I was using it as I thought it was intended to be used, which was to meet new people that were interested in the same things that you were. And because of that, like I said, my friend network grew all over the world of people that were interested in things like gratitude, self-work, self-help, movement, eating healthy, but also like I connected with other people that were in finance, other people that were in technology startups, and I've even gone into business with some of them. So really, social media has been one of the greatest connectors in my life.
Nayef, can you tell us a little bit about like your life changes, like you come, like your background and work and your work life, and how you balance like staying healthy and doing like having this different things in your life, your work life and how does movement comes in your life, and yeah, how do you balance that in your life?
Great question. I had a mentor, my first tech startup. Now we're talking 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I had a mentor who was our first investor, and he's like, "Listen, don't make the mistake that I did, where I spent my health to obtain my wealth, and now I'm spending my wealth to regain my health. Don't do it." He's like, "Just always take care of yourself, because whether or not you have money, whether or not you have success, at the end of the day, it won't matter if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it." And those words have stuck with me from day one. And I've always since probably 13 years old, and I was never an athletic kid growing up. I didn't play many sports. I played soccer here and there and some martial arts here and there. But I really started getting into like weight training as a kid because I was the skinniest kid around, and not much has changed since then because I'm still pretty skinny but fit. And through that, I just found my happiness and my fun. Like, no matter what mood I was in, no matter what was happening in life, I always wanted to go to the gym or go rock climbing or go for a run or ride my bike or do something. Like, movement was just always a very, very big healer for me. So as I continued to grow in my professional roles, the companies that I was working for, I always made sure to keep it a priority. And when I'm going through the interview process, right, if I'm going to get a new job or if I'm starting my own company, I make sure that the culture is aligned and that, hey, I don't want to be working 70 hours a week. And Laura, you know my work history, and like, you've spent a lot of time with me, especially when I was living in New York, to know that like I'm no stranger to 80-hour work weeks. And I'm happy to do it because I think there's a time and a place for a quote unquote sprint. But that said, I don't want that to be my normal. So I've always prioritized my wellness, my health, as well as my success, and just to be able to like make sure that I was performing good. And now at the companies that I'm working for, the company that I am working for now, we've instituted weekly wellness practices. I'm getting the team meditating, expressing their gratitude, doing daily intentional check-ins. And at first it was like received with a little bit of, what's this guy doing over here? And now it's definitely become a fabric of the culture. And like we're absolutely becoming better and knowing each other better and relating better because of these things.
Absolutely. And I love and really admire this about you, Nayef, that the fact that you can balance those things so well, and your passion for bringing wellness into the workspace, your passion to bring wellness and like alternative ways to keep yourself healthy to work environments. And I had the honor, and I'm so grateful for you to include me in your search for that, because we went to like big companies and I was part of the team to go to big companies and bring like a little taste of acro yoga and a little taste of meditation and a little taste of like this different practices to like huge companies and in their office spaces to do like work with their teams or work with the company or whatever it was. So super grateful that I just want to bring the gratitude into the conversation of like your passion for bringing these two together has rippled into my life as well.
I can mirror and reflect that gratitude right back to you, because the client that you're talking about is actually Google. When we went in and we were doing culture training with Google, and the team that we were working with was 100% female, right? And so I wanted to make sure that when we were going in, I was like, I can't, and my business partner at the time was a male as well. And I was like, we can't go in there with two men. Like, I feel like we really need to show a strong female presence here. And I was thinking about who I could bring into it. And you were obviously top of that list, and you stole the show. Everybody loved you the most. All of our like post-event ratings were like, Nayef's cool, Jason's cool. We really liked their energy. They were really great and they held great space. And Laura though, we loved her. So like, yes, unlimited, gratitude for you for showing up and like dropping into that space and helping people who are, very driven in their professional goals and in their success. And also they were just, they're driven to be happy. They're driven to be humans. They're driven to be people. And when you work for big companies, and I can speak to this because it's my, this is my story as well. Like it's easy to lose yourself in your work. So for you to come back and drop them back into their center and into their presence without sex, that to me was the best part about that was, how easily they related to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great experience.
It was.
Yeah.
So Nayef, can you tell us where you are? I want everybody to know where Laura's in Las Vegas. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and then you are.
Yeah. So behind me is Joshua Tree, California. It's near Palm Springs for those who are not familiar with maybe some of the smaller places in California, but the mountains that you're seeing right there, we go right there. That starts the national park. So it's Joshua Tree National Park back there. I've been I've had the privilege of working remote, I think, even before the pandemic. So what I like to do is kind of pick a region of the world that I want to go and explore, and I'll just go explore from anywhere from 3 to 9 months, and just rent a house, or bounce between houses every month, every few months. So I am currently exploring Southern California.
That's amazing. So, speaking to your story, you were during the last year before you were in Joshua Tree. Where was the last place you stayed, and how long were you there?
I spent most of 2020 either in Costa Rica in the rainforest, but I also spent some time in Colombia, in South America, as well as in Mexico. So in total, I was gone about 11 months of 2020 in Central and South America.
Wow. Go ahead, Laura. Sorry.
I was going to say, originally you were going to...
Originally, I was going to go to Asia. So I was actually going to spend that time in Asia. And I was
right before the pandemic started out there. And I remember we were in New York, or I don't remember where you were at this point, but I remember we were talking and you were like, I'm not going there anymore. I'm just going to go to South America because something is happening out there. And then that something, well,
yeah,
brought us to 2020.
I'm so lucky. And like, I feel like, the universe, source, God, insert your word or words here, was really looking out for me, because I was managing a team that was based out of China, mostly near Shanghai. And in January, they were reporting things to me about, shortages and lockdowns and quarantines. So this is in January, before it was really a big discussion in the US. And I was like, I just don't think that we're special. I think this is going to travel. I think this is going to spread. And I was asking people around me that were also following it, and they all said the same thing. So I decided to switch my trip around, and I said, all right, if I'm going to get quarantined, where do I want to get quarantined? And I was like, you know what? Beach, waves, surfing, rainforest, Costa Rica. So I did. And, I will say humbly that it was one of the more impactful years of my life. Because when I went, I was actually in a pretty dark mental space. And Laura, that when I left. And that was one of the main reasons why I was like, I just need to get away. I just need to go. I need to be by myself. So before quarantine rules had even set in, to tell us that we weren't allowed to gather, to tell us that we weren't allowed to do the things that we all now know is normal life, I was like, you know what? I'm not going here to make any friends. I'm not going here to meet new friends. I actually declared it the no new friend season. And I went into a full isolation when I was there. In the 11 months that I was gone, I came back with maybe 10 or 15 people knowing my name. Like, that's how few people I got to know when I was out. And like, when I did meet people occasionally, I would tell them that my name is Habibi, and we would talk and we'd have a great experience. Some of them I did yoga and acro with, and it was like these really cool, fun experiences. And they took pictures like, wow, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? What's your number? I'll send you these pictures. And I would always just politely say, no Instagram now, right here, this moment. And if we ever meet again, then I know it was destined to be. But this is where our journey starts and stops. And like, because I was so focused on just myself and fixing what was going on in here and going on in here. And that solitude really did help it. So like, yes, 2020 was a devastating year for all of the reasons that we all know it to be devastating. But individually, this vessel, this manifestation of a being that's on the camera in front of you, I'm immensely grateful for the experience that I had in solitude, because it healed me.
Yeah, and I was a witness to a lot of it. I am so grateful that I was one of those few people who you kept like, I'm alive, like you kept popping up, like and responding and staying connected with. And I saw your process, as much as I could, and as much as you shared. And it was a really amazing transformation. And I always love to think about how you made your own gym and at home. Can you tell us a little bit about like your creativity and in creating movement for yourself in your isolation?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll even go beyond just the gym. So when I got there, I was one of the last. I was in a small town called Tamarindo, which is in the state of Guanacaste in Costa Rica, and it's right on the ocean. It's beautiful rainforest, and one of the rainforest parks, which connected to one of the national parks, their property line started at the edge of my property line, and then there was a crocodile pit 20 meters behind that. So like to show you how deep in nature I was deep in nature. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me posting pictures of every type of rainforest animal that came into the house, into the yard. But everything shut down. Costa Rica completely shut down. They had a very strict quarantine at the start of the pandemic. And also getting items shipped to Costa Rica had a 60 to 80% tax depending on which distributor you were going to work with. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to ship anything here. I just need to create things. I need to find ways to create my happiness, right? Because in America, I can go to this gym and I can go to this yoga studio and I can go to this restaurant and I can do all of these things. But when you strip all of that away and I don't have these external forces that are making me happy, right? And that are helping me be happy, all of a sudden, I had to anchor my happiness on me right here. And so I was like, all right, I need to move. I know movement is a recipe or is an ingredient in the recipe for my happiness. But there was nothing there. There was no gyms. There was nothing. So I went in the rainforest and found a bunch of different sized logs and big rocks. And then I took a cab and I went to a nearby hardware store and got some metal piping and cinder blocks. And I created a full gym using rocks, logs, cinder blocks. There was a yoga studio that was nearby, but it was closed. I emailed the owner of it and I was like, can I buy some yoga straps from you? And she said yes. So I went and bought some yoga straps and I turned 3 yoga straps into like a makeshift TRX system that I hung from a tree or a ladder, depending on which part of the yard I was working on. When I was at the hardware store, I also got some towing straps that they would use to like tow vehicles. And I rigged them to go to a tree to one of the vehicles that was kind of like dead and parked in my yard. And that made a slack line. And that also gave me a workout bench. So all of a sudden I'm working out using rocks and logs. And for those that know me, I'm not the most masculine guy in the world. Like, in fact, I really feel like I have a strong balance of the masculine, the feminine. And so like, there's not a lot of things that I do that are like really manly guy things. But when I was outside working barefoot with my shirt off and sweating in the rainforest and I got cinder blocks ringing, man, I felt like a man. And it was so fun. And it was so much fun. And it got me in the best shape of my life. That even now here in Joshua Tree, I've recreated and rebuilt the gym using more cinder blocks and now an official TRX system. Now that I'm in the States, and like different logs and different things that I have. And so like really just off camera over here is my little cinder block gym.
That's amazing, man. Wow.
So fun.
It's so fun.
And it was just so fun because you, like you said, you weren't sharing a lot about your journey, but then suddenly you start popping up more, posting like crabs or like spiders in your space or the gym workouts. And it was really nice to see like that you were getting it done.
Yeah. And I started to come out of my shell a little bit. Once I started to like not be in that dark space, and I was like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable to share again and to share my life again and to open up a little bit more. And that's how I did it. And that's how I let people know that I was okay. I was happy. I'm doing all right. Because at the time I wasn't fielding phone calls. I was asking my friends like, hey, give me some space. I love you. I love you so much. And if you need me, I'm here for you. But like my best friends in the world, I've talked to maybe a dozen times in 11 months. And these are people I currently text with every single day. So I think that experience of sharing, and what was interesting, which I want to kind of get into as well, my sharing caused me to stop sharing. And the reason why is I recognize that I have a very Instagrammable life. I'm in Joshua Tree right now, right? Like I recognize the background and like what this is viewing to, or what this is showing and the perception to viewers. And I live all over the world. I spent, parts of 2019 in Southeast Asia, in China. I spent parts of 2018 in Latin America. I've spent over 4 or 5 years of my life outside of the US. So I get that, like, I have this Instagrammable life, right? Plus I do handstands and acro. So like, sure, I can make cool pictures cooler by doing that. But what I realized in sharing my gym videos, my Costa Rica hiking in the jungle videos, I was trying to inspire people. And I realized that I was actually getting people to feel bad about their own lives because they were using it as a way to compare. Oh, well, I'm at home during the pandemic working this 9-to-5 job, and this guy looks like he's just gallivanting around, not knowing that the first 5 months of the pandemic, I was working 80 hours a week, right? Because like, obviously it's the highlight reel and we don't show that. And then I realized that my social media sharing was having the direct opposite impact that I wanted to have. I was looking to inspire people, and I was making people feel bad. They had messaged me like, hey, what are you doing with your life that you just get to gallivant all around the world? And like, you know, I'm not an influencer. I don't have that many followers, but it was enough for me to like really take a step back and look and reflect on like, what type of content am I sharing? And am I putting out this image out there that my life is so amazing and incredible that makes other people question theirs? And I didn't like that. So since then, I've actually really pulled back on the sharing because I don't want to make anybody feel that. Everybody's life is cool and awesome in their own right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, and that's always gonna be like, you can't control what people are gonna feel when they see your life. And it's interesting because, you know, they were seeing that, oh, you're in Costa Rica, oh, look at you just working out and being barefoot and shirtless all day. In reality, you were like working a lot and also going through a lot of emotional growth and introspection. But because you weren't sharing those parts of you, it just seemed like you were just playing around and like the world is ending and you don't care.
Exactly. And like,
you don't want to feel that either. Like, you don't want to, because you can't explain everything of yourself to everyone. So I understand
Yeah, absolutely. And very well said. And, you know, in the time, I could have easily have shared more about what my work and where I was going, but I wasn't in a mental place where I felt that was safe to do so yet. I was still, the only thing that felt safe to do was my workout videos and me like making fun of the crabs that were just hilarious running around my house because there was no way of stopping them from running around my house. But like, you know, bringing it back into gratitude is like, my gratitude wasn't anchored in external validation, and it still isn't. My gratitude was like, I was just happy to be doing that. And I recognized by sharing on social media, the inspiration that I was hoping to cause wasn't adding to my gratitude. It wasn't adding to my feel good. It wasn't doing anything for me. I felt like I was just doing it because I'm like, oh, this is the thing to do. This is what I'm a 34-year-old guy in Costa Rica. This is what I should be posting. And so like really just taking a step back to really look at my life and like, what does actually fill my cup? And I realized external validation on social media, which makes me feel good. Definitely, you know, I loved it, but like, it really doesn't push the bar. There's so many other things that if I spent the time that I would normally spend curating content for social on doing other things, whether it's for myself or others, I recognize that that was a bigger value add to my life in that moment. Right. And again, I'm not an influencer. 0% of my income comes from social media. So like, I had that privilege of being like, oh, well, yeah, I actually don't need to post any of this. And net, I'm happier because I can spend my time doing other things that make me happier and giving me more gratitude. And I'm not making anybody question the decisions that they've made in their life. Because like, I look at their lives, I'm like, your life is awesome too. You're married with kids. I can't wait to be married with kids. Like, you know, everybody has such like a cool story. And I just don't want, you know, my story, because it's Instagrammable, to, you know, challenge anybody else's.
Well, I love the fact that you, in your heart, were, you know, you were putting that out because you were trying to motivate people. You had a very pure intention, which is beautiful. And I get that, right? That's part of us doing this right now. I mean, that's specifically, granted, we get all the goodness, but the cool thing is it's sitting in a place where people can experience it, right? So
absolutely.
that's the idea. And then if you know, you had some negativity put back at you because of it, and you changed your level of thinking with it, which is fine. You know, I mean, it seems very healthy and well thought out. I get it.
You know, I would actually even say that I didn't receive it as negativity. I received it as like, wow, I one of my internal goals, and I set this goal at the beginning of 2019, before I left, I said, from now on, every person I meet, everything I touch, every space I enter, I will leave it better than I found it. And that includes the store clerks, the cashiers, the random people I run into in a parking lot because like we're both trying to put a shopping buggy into the carousel. That I want to leave absolutely everything better, and I recognize that wasn't aligned with my goal. That I wasn't leaving people better. So I didn't take it as negative. I took it as, oh wow, I need to reevaluate how I'm trying to approach this goal. I haven't figured it out yet though.
And also like what I see in this, Nayef, is like the awareness that you had of like, it's like your intention versus like what is actually causing in other people. And sometimes, you know, I think there needs to be a balance between those things, because if your intention is good, but it's really hurting other people, and you don't make a change because your intention is good, then you don't really care about other people.
Right.
So what's the balance between like having good intention, doing things with good intention, and then being strong enough and self-aware enough to notice what that action cost, like, and notice if the intention and the result came together, because if not, then we need to reevaluate how we act. And I really like, congrats to you for realizing like, this is actually not benefiting anyone and is not causing the impact that I wanted. And I'm going to use that time in my present life. And because, so I applaud you for that.
Absolutely. You know, thank you. I'm attached to the outcome. I'm not attached to my intention. I'm attached to the results. I'm attached to the outcome. And there's definitely a new trend going around social media, and I love it right now, where it's all about quitting is okay. No, knowing when to quit is actually a skill and a strength. You know, because we've all growing up. You know, I'm a millennial. Growing up, it was like, yo, never quit. Quitters never prosper. Quitters, you know, like all this negative talk. And I'm like, no, I'm quitting social media because like this is actually not, the outcome is not what I wanted it to be. And sure, I could figure it out, and I am trying to figure it out. So this is not a bash on social media. I love social media and what it can do. I'm just recognizing that I haven't found my ability to use this tool in the way that I want it to be used. So like I am still tiptoeing around, like figuring it out, because I want to use it in a way that gives me the outcome that I want. And if I can't figure that, I'm not attached to being on social media. I don't care. Because again, my gratitude is now anchored, and this is the lesson of 2020. My gratitude, my happiness, my wealth, my health, it's all anchored right here.
I really like what you said about if you meet somebody, you want to leave them better than they were. And that actually, I had a person on the podcast last year, and I asked him, one of my go-to questions is, you know, how would you explain gratitude to a 10-year-old? And he said, after thinking about that question, he said, I would explain to him, like, when we go have a picnic, we leave the area better than it was. You know, we clean up and we leave the place. And that just reminded me of what you said, right? It's like, if I'm here, I want to leave this place, but wherever that is, right? If that's at the park or at the grocery store or, you know, in the parking lot, right? It's like you are intentionally like, I want to leave this place better than it was because I'm here, you know, I'm here and I'm going to do what I can. And I think that's a beautiful just demonstration of gratitude in motion.
Absolutely. So the Airbnb I'm staying at right now does not allow animals or pets here. And I have a friend visiting who has a dog. And I've developed a bit of a relationship with the host. So I've reached out to her and I said, hey, would you mind if my friend came to visit and brought her dog? I know there's a no dog policy. And it was almost an instant yes. And the reason why is the second day I was here, there was a leak in the bathtub. Like, just, I don't know, when I had closed it, maybe I had closed it too light, and all of a sudden the water wouldn't shut off. So like I just started Googling and figured out that one of the O-rings was busted, and like figured it out and fixed it. And then I messaged her afterwards and she was like, oh, we could have had the plumber. You didn't have to do that. And she was so thankful. I was like, no, I feel like ownership of this house. I'm here for a long time. So like if things go wrong, I will be the first line of defense to like fix it. And so instantly when I was like, can I have a dog? She's like, yeah. She's like, you're the type of person that I want in my house. You're the type of person that I trust having a dog in the house, that it's not going to chew up anything. And I was like, no, I will leave this house better than when I found it. You'll notice, like, And one of the ways that I'm actually going to do that is two ways. One is because in Joshua Tree, the washers actually dump the excess water out, usually into people's yards because it's the desert. So they'll just like hydrate. And I recognize that she was using like some of the bigger brands, and we don't have to name them, but some of the bigger brands that just use more chemicals. So I'm leaving her with some eco-friendly washing fluid so that when it dumps onto the ground out here, it's not actually putting any toxins into the environment. And the other thing is that I bought a bunch of plants, and I'm going to leave her some plants here because this is also her actual real home. It's not just an Airbnb. So when she gets here, there'll be a couple more plants here to give her some plant love.
That's beautiful. Alara, you're still muted, dear.
I love that, Nayef. That is so sweet, and big lesson for all of us to think ahead and like always, leave the place better than you found it. I love that. I want to respect your time, Nayef. I know you have to go. Chris, if you have any final pop-up.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much, man. This wouldn't be happening right now if you hadn't been a good friend to me years ago and then connected us. So it's like these, the gratitude in the moments of this moment happening, and then you giving your time today. And I'm hoping now that we reconnected, we can talk again, or even the three of us can. I would love to do this again at some point, or even just, start messaging and have another conversation with you. So I want to thank you for your time, man. And I really appreciate you just being you, man, and bringing people together and being a grateful person.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool. And this was just like a trip down memory lane to see all three of us there. So this was awesome. Yes, I would love to come back. Would love to continue the conversation. And yeah, keep going with what you're doing, because the world needs, more gratitude, more spaciousness, more compassion, more empathy. And I know that you two are very, very well suited to bring that to the world.
Oh, Nayef, before you go, real quick, first thing that comes out of your mouth, what are you grateful for?
This moment right now. I haven't stopped smiling this entire call. So, I'm going to go back. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to go back into my work. And I definitely feel a little bit more peppy and happy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a Friday and I'm feeling good. I'm going to put on some poppy music. It's going to be great.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
For this call. Thank you so much. It was
all right, man. Take care. We'll talk soon. Have
Much
a great
love.
time. Love you, man. Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I feel like that, it's interesting because we only hung out that one time. I think that was the one time I was with him, right? So that may have doubled the quality of time in my life I've had with him.
Yeah. And he's changed a lot. I bet you too, like the three of us have evolved a lot since that time. And it's crazy to think how long it's been since that. And yeah, I'm just really proud of Nayef. Is one of those people that has influenced me in a positive way and has supported me through so much. And yeah, top of my list. So thank you for your time, Nayef. And I hope that you can touch some people with your processes, because your growth is amazing.
Yeah, it was. I loved just if we're going to takeaways, just because we just got done with it. It's nice to maybe say those that way if we're looking back at this later. It's like the main takeaway I think was, or for me was him just saying that his intention is wherever he is, he wants to intentionally make the place better. He wants to leave. He wants to go into a place and make wherever he is, when he leaves it, a better place. And then it was awesome that he gave us full examples of the place he's staying right now,
Yeah, and piggybacking on that, I think another big takeaway is like what you say, plus also be aware of the outcome, because sometimes what you think it's better is not actually better for the people that you're doing it for, because their experiences are not yours. So I think those two things together are gold right there.
Yeah, and there was one other thing in that same vein of it just escaped just ran away from me. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about it later. There was one other thing that he said that it was this is what it was. When I said the words, you got some negative feedback, and what I was doing obviously was putting my own tone and actually just giving, like I was assigning what the feedback was, right? That was my way of assigning it. And he said, I didn't look at it as that at all. He just looked at it as like he was just saying it was feedback that allowed him to make his own decision, right? Which I love because he took, I added a negativity to it where honestly it's whatever it needs to, it's whatever you make a decision of it. So I made a decision that it was just negative feedback, but
Exactly.
he pointed out, which was nice, that he was seeing it as just a reflection. He just said it was feedback, reflection. It allowed him to then make a decision, made him to reflect, which I thought was a really beautiful, very, very cool stream of, waters, like, very healthy way to look at things opposed to, like I said, I was labeling it.
I love that. Yeah, totally. And that's been a huge theme for me to understand, even like in my emotional journey, like it's not like negative and positive emotions. They're just emotions, right? And the fact that we label some as negative prevents us from getting to know them.
Right.
Like we want to avoid jealousy or anger or negative emotions when in reality, there's no way to avoid them. They're part of the human experience. And what you're doing actually by labeling them and putting in the box of negative, I can't touch that, I'm not that way, you're actually preventing yourself from going past those emotions, growing, and being able to manage those emotions in a more intelligent way.
Right. You keep yourself calm. And I mean, even, just a case in point, if you don't label things, you're so much quicker to be able to see the gratitude or find positivity in the situation just because you haven't labeled it. You just, you've noticed it. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Case in point, this last week, just with me, there was an incident, and so basically there's, my wife's from Colombia, and she was using my phone to call her parents all the time, even though we have Mint Mobile, but apparently when I got Mint Mobile, it was like a penny a minute to call Colombia, and now when the new people, it's like 10 cents or something. Like that's what the person told me, right? That's what I was told. So she was always using mine, but then there was an issue with it, and we got a little heated, just miscommunication, but then she was like, well, put some money on my phone so I can make sure I can use my phone. And when I went to look on her phone and her message, I realized that they weren't charging international minutes all the time she called, which allowed, what I'm saying is like this conflict actually allowed us to realize, oh, she can use her phone. It's not an issue. Like everything's fine, which I was able to see that afterwards going, well, I'm really glad that actually happened. I'm glad that course action happened because that was a big deal. It honestly, for us, it's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, all this quote unquote negative moments or experiences, they're inevitable. And how we react to them is what matters. And how we process and integrate them is what matters.
Right.
So yeah, congrats on going through and past that.
Thanks. It reminds me. I don't remember the actual story. If you maybe you've heard it or not. It's an old story where, the father the father has I'm gonna butcher this story. But basically the idea is like the father, he's plowing his field, and somebody gives him a horse, and he's like, the guy's like, well, what do you think about this horse? Is that good or bad? And he's like, well, we'll see. We'll see, I feel like I'm still messing this one up. And then basically, his son's there working on it. And I think I'm probably butchering this story, but you're going to get it just for us. But no, the thing is, then, okay, I'm telling it right. We get the horse first, right? He's like, we'll see. Okay. Then his son's out in the field, and his son gets kicked by the horse and breaks his leg. And then the guy's like, so is this bad? Or, what do you think about that? He's like, well, we'll see, and then what happens is like the Civil War breaks out and everyone has to go off to war, but his son can't go off to the war because his leg's broken. He's like, is this good or bad? Well, we'll see. But it's true, right? It's because any individual moment, we don't know where it's going to happen because of it. It's really just, again, like, if we could label, like, I don't know, like it's, if you keep like a mystery about it, right? Then it's like, you're open. Keep it open.
You still don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, well, we'll see what happens.
Like, that's why people say like a blessing in disguise, or because it's like, okay, I broke my foot. That's unfortunate, but maybe it prevented me from doing other things that were not going to be good for me, or to go in a path that was wrong, whatever it is. Like you'll never know. And that's the thing. You will never know. So why don't just leave it open and understand that anything that happens is going to bring a ripple. Like everything is, just a part of the journey. And it's going to have a ripple effect. So don't judge so quickly and leave space open for what that brings into your life, even if it's like something bad.
Yes. I think that's a good. I think it's a great place, to kind of close out. I've really enjoyed this. I had a great time with Nayef. I'm looking forward to, he said he's up for doing it again and just throwing out. We should get Dr. Cat and him and the four of us to jam. That would be awesome. I just wanted to say that just to put it out into the, in the sphere there as an idea of let's bring him back and get her, because we could, we could spread this either way with these people and bring more people in that are directly part of the chain, and other people we can too. But I'm saying I think it'd be amazing for us to spread that connection, that gratitude connection with more people and bring them back into the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kat is incredible. I love to hear her. So anytime.
Awesome. Well, do you have any closing thoughts or
No, just super grateful for this time and excited to continue bringing people to express their gratitude and what makes them special.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Laura. And so we're gratitude and motion and movement here. This is our episode 1, but we're planning on the plan is to do one every couple of weeks. So just be out there, on the lookout for that. And I'm Chris. It's Laura. Just reminding everybody they have a lot to be grateful for. If you're walking around right now and you're listening to this, you're seeing this. There's a lot of gratitude in the fact that you have motion in your body. So thank you for this time, and thank you, Laura, and everybody have a wonderful day, and we are out.